Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. With the 7th overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders have selected Texas Tech edge rusher Tyree Wilson. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are wondering why exactly the Raiders made this move, but coming up on this show, I'm going to tell everyone why it's an okay pick and that everyone can just take a big old deep breath. So the reason why the Raiders went with Tyree Wilson is because there's a lot of depth at the cornerback position a little bit later in this draft, which from what I understand, the Silver and Black are very confident in. Also, when our team at Chat Sports interviewed Wilson, he was very excited to play with Max Crosby. I also talked to Max Crosby's father, and this was actually one of the players that Crosby wanted the Raiders to draft. He's 6'5", he's 271 pounds, and if you want to be able to get after the quarterback, here's a player that really, really, truly helps you do that. Whether or not it was a major need, an edge rusher isn't the biggest team need. But if you want to be able to pin your ears back, go out and get the QB, whether that be a Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Wilson, and Max Crosby, good luck. You also got to be able to remember that Chandler Jones got a lot of injury concerns right now. Massive size in the wingspan with burst and power off the snap that you'll love to see. Still more traits than polish at this point, but the traits are very enticing. Only one career batted ball despite the length. To me, you got a premier edge rusher in Tyree Wilson. So here's the thing that I want y'all to do. Whether you're watching this live, and if you're not watching this live, tune into the Raiders Report, because we're going to be live for the entire first round, every single pick of the 2023 NFL Draft. Grade the pick. Give me an A, B, C, D, or an F. Because coming up after this YouTube ad break, I am going to give you my grade on Tyree Wilson being selected by the Raiders at number 7 overall. My Tyree Wilson of the Raiders grade is a solid B+. The reason why it's a B+ is because Wilson is a very good player. I do not foresee him being a bust. Last season, last draft, Travon Walker went number 1 overall. Realistically, when you look at the athletic traits of Walker and Tyree Wilson, they are very, very familiar. The reason why I am not going to give it a bigger grade than that is because edge rusher wasn't the biggest need for the Raiders. But deep down, I am happy that they went with defense because you pair Wilson with Max Crosby. You let Chandler Jones get really, really healthy. And I'm telling you this right now, for the next 4 to 5 years, Wilson has the ability next to Max Crosby to be an elite premier edge rushing duo. That is what every single person shows up for. In terms of stats for the Red Raiders last season, 61 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 0 forced fumbles. If you like upside, you are going to like the upside that you will get from Wilson. He is a player that wanted to be a Raider, which I'll tell you this right now. Anytime I hear guy wants to be a Raider, I love it. And I know for a fact from our interviews at the Combine, he wanted to be a Raider. In terms of his athletic breakdown from the Athletics Dan Brugler, Wilson plays 2 upright and needs to become craftier and more strategic in his pass rush, but his length, speed, and raw power are outstanding fundamental traits. His ascending tools are ripe for development, and he has Pro Bowl potential. He should be the first Texas Tech defender ever drafted in the top 20 picks. When I first broke down my top 10 players that I wanted the Raiders to draft, at pick number 7 overall, I had Tyree Wilson in my top 10. And there's going to be some people out there like, why didn't we take Jalen Carter? Jalen Carter's got the off-the-field issues. Why didn't we take Chris Gonzalez? I had Chris Gonzalez ranked higher than Wilson based on needs. But when you look at overall draft value, if I told you right now we get a Tyree Wilson and then we get a Julius Brents, a Corey Trice, really solid cornerbacks that you can get in round 2, round 3, maybe even round 4 because of how deep the position is, you're going to love this draft. Now, there's a lot still to be known out there, but If the Raiders can still come away with a lot of defensive help, and you got defensive help, that is the important thing. You got defensive help. It's not an A+, but Tyree Wilson is a hell of a pick. And if you love the Raiders and you want more videos around the silver and black, you feel that? Do you bleed silver and black? If you bleed silver and black, you miss the old Oakland tailgates out there, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, because I can promise you this. You might not always agree with me, and that's fine. But if there's one thing that I want people to know, I hope you respect my commitment to excellence. We've had a video on this channel go out every single day for the last 3 years. I am all about just win, baby. I'm all about commitment to excellence. And if you bleed that, whether it's your regular work day, whether it's the Raiders, hit that subscribe button. In terms of the picks that happened before the Tyree Wilson pick, here are the picks that we know so far. For those of you watching live, Bijan Robinson just went off the board at number 8 to the Atlanta Falcons. So Bryce Young goes number 1. C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, the Texans traded up. Anthony Richardson, Devon Weatherspoon, Paris Johnson Jr., Tyree Wilson, and then Bijan Robinson. Those are the first 8 picks of the 2023 NFL Draft. So entering the draft, the Raiders were in a little bit of an interesting spot in terms of salary cap. They still have 11 picks. I'll tell you this right now. If you're watching this live, you're watching this on a later date, there's still a chance that the Raiders trade back up into round 1. They have pick 38, and then they have 10 other picks besides that. A lot of team needs to be able to be filled, and I hope that the Raiders know what they're doing. So in terms of the Raiders draft chart, or depth chart, before the draft, all you had was Max Crosby. You had a question mark next to Chandler Jones, and this move also speaks volumes on their confidence in Chandler Jones, in my personal opinion. Malcolm Kuntz, huge question mark. Yeah, you signed Willis, huge question mark. But realistically, what the Raiders tried to do here is get Max Crosby help. If you can get yourself a healthy Chandler Jones, okay? And one of the things that I've heard from good sources out there is the Raiders, they want to be able to use their outside linebackers as edge rushers as well. What if you put on the field Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, and Tyree Wilson? That's going to be something that you see. If you're a defensive coordinator, that is not, and I mean not an easy thing to be able to defend against. So, even though this was a pick that some people were not crazy about, I like the idea of the Raiders taking Tyree Wilson. He's a good player. He doesn't have the off-the-field issues. He's a smart and intelligent guy. His coaches, teammates speak very, very highly of him. And he does something that you can't teach. He's an athletic freak that can get after the quarterback. Imagine if Tyree Wilson can turn into a 10, 11, 12 sack player per year. My comp for Tyree was Chandler Jones. If you're able to get the type of Chandler Jones production that you got earlier, awesome. I'm all about it. Also, for those of you watching live, Jalen Carter just went to the Eagles at number 9, who traded up with the Chicago Bears. So my question is this. Who do you want the Raiders to draft next? You got Tyree Wilson at 7. Who do you want the silver and black to go with next? I can't wait to see. Genuinely curious what you guys have to say. I want cornerback. Hell, I want a linebacker. What positions do you want the silver and black to go with next? You got plenty of draft picks. Let's get creative. Let's get wild. Let me know down in the comments. Now, if you all don't know, you can always follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram as well. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. Just posted a video about Tyree Wilson on IG. I'm also going to do my best to keep you guys up to date on Twitter around the Raiders. The Raiders got Tyree Wilson. And if you are watching this right now, join our live show here on the Raiders Report, because I'm telling you right now, it's about to turn into a shit show.